when you're trying to get someone to relocate, you got to kind of pivot from recruiter or that talent hunter into more of that salesperson, not the slimy, sleazy one, but an authentic salesperson that really understands what would motivate a candidate to want to relocate to that area. How can you sweeten that deal just a smidge for them?
Location. Hello, this is Kathleen, and I'm so happy that you're joining us today. Rachel, great to have you back in the studio with me.
Oh, it's so good to be here today.
So Rachel and I have been doing this podcast, Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How, over the last 2.5 years. So we've talked with over 100 different guests in the cleared community, and we've always asked them this question. It's sort of behind the scenes, which is, what is your most difficult recruiting challenge, and what are the skills or tools you use to overcome it? And it has been fascinating to us, the various different challenges that have been shared with us and the solutions people have had. So today we're talking about location, and not necessarily the location that everybody knows about. Rachel?
You know, I've been dying to say this. Location. It doesn't just matter to our realtor friends out there, but also for us recruiters at heart. There is so much cleared work needing to be done on site. Location matters. Unlike the commercial world, you may not have the option of making a position remote to get more people in the country interested. So you got to be able to sail that location. Yes, you do, my friends. So it's not just about matching candidates up to a position that they're qualified for, but it's adding in the complexity of the need of the right location too.
So we tend to think of cleared positions being in the DMV or Rocket City or Military City, USA. But there are also locations that need cleared workers like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Utah. So just think about the challenges of finding someone in a skill set and a clearance level, and then someone who wants to go on site. But then it's an on site that no one has ever even thought about in the cleared community. So we talked with Meg Pexa of Sandia National Laboratories, and her on site positions are in Albuquerque. And she was sharing with us that she had a really interesting challenge since Albuquerque is sort of in the West. Management thought that, hey, everyone who's being laid off from the tech industry, they're all going to want to come out of the San Francisco Bay Area where it's high cost and live here in Albuquerque. And I remember us recording that with her, and we both shook our heads and said, no, that's not going to happen. But she said she has to be super, super active in cultivating her candidates, researching them, providing them with all of the cool salary and benefits that they have, because there's only 1% that's actually interested in taking a chance on moving their cleared career to another place. So Meg said that they have a fantastic relocation package, but she also has to be creative herself. She has to be really creative and active in the community. And she also brings her own unique style to her recruiting. Hey, this is me, and this is how exciting it is to work here.
Absolutely. And to go back to Albuquerque, I think it's so hard to get people there because it's so hard to spell. I don't know about you, Kathleen, but I spell that word wrong every single time. Why there's a U and not an E, I don't know, but something you talked about, it's about taking ownership and being able to sell the candidates on the benefits of that particular place. So when you're trying to get someone to relocate, you got to kind of pivot from recruiter or that talent hunter into more of that salesperson, not the slimy, sleazy one, but an authentic salesperson that really understands what would motivate a candidate to want to relocate to that area. You have to kind of think about it again. How can you sweeten that deal just a smidge for them? Tell them about all the great things that you have to offer. And that could be things like tuition reimbursement. Some of our guests have talked about tuition reimbursement, not only for the employee, but for the entire family. Spouse job search support. I mean, that's a pretty incredible thing to be able to throw out there to say, hey, I know this relocation doesn't just impact you and it may impact your family. So we have tools that can help your family as well. Maybe it's again that flexible work schedule, giving them the option to work some flexibility in there might be exactly what they needed to be able to make that move. Relocation assistance. Some people may be willing to relocate, but may need some financial support to do that. So having packages out there that really meet them holistically are all really great things to sell. Also, being a spokesperson for that community, kind of knowing some great things about the area that they're relocating to. When talking to Jen at SAIC, they mentioned a unique employee benefit. Jen supports the space program with several locations like Wallops Island, Virginia. Just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? But they increase their family leave support to support those parents in that multi generational families who need care for children, spouse, parents, family, right? They also have backup employee childcare and elder care when needed. Again, it's about knowing the candidate and what they need can make that location, even Wallops Island, Virginia, be your next place you set up your house.
And I really love hearing about relocation assistance because I know when I relocated from California to Virginia, there was no relocation for my family. And it's amazing how expensive that can be. So I think one thing that a lot of our guests did really say is that they have extremely generous relocation packages and really being sort of that coach. And I think we actually heard from several of our guests that they had relocation coaches that would help the candidate even before they accepted the offer, understand the entire process and be able to walk them through the various different steps that they can think about. Because I know when I relocated from the West Coast to the East Coast, I didn't know what I was doing. And oh my God, how was I going to get my entire family, our cars, our pets, cross country, and not go into debt, which I unfortunately did. So we were talking with Megan Hayes at the Applied Research Lab at Penn State. And she said, not very many people know that there is actually an applied research lab in Pennsylvania. And that was her hardest challenge is getting people to understand that they are there in State College, Pennsylvania. But she said once they started to get to know that they're there, they really were able to share the strengths, the geography. But the selling point for her was it's a small town feel versus the hustle and bustle of the entire DC area, really being able to walk the campus, walk downtown to get lunch or something like that. That small town feel. And I think a lot of people don't realize that we have cleared work that is going on in small towns. But I also thought it was interesting that Megan was able to say that they really kept an eye on competitive salaries. So even if you're in a rural area, your salary might be a little bit lower than the urban counterparts, but it's actually going to be on par because the salary and the cost of living have been commensurate with what you need to maintain that kind of work, that kind of workforce, but also that work-life balance.
Absolutely. As a small town girl, it makes me think of that CBRE Global Survey where they talked to 13,000 of my millennial friends out there to find out kind of their feelings on this. And although three-quarters of them, they live in the larger towns or cities, more than half would find a small or medium-sized location appealing. And I thought it was fascinating as to some of the reasons. There's the cost implications. There's the community, there's the cultural values that came in that could play part in them deciding, hey, small town life isn't so bad. It's that family oriented type of phase in their life that they're going through that small town might resonate more. Or maybe they're growing families. And so being able to live in a community that has festivals or does things that are just more community wide may definitely resonate more. And, because millennials, we're looking for that cool factor, Kathleen. We want the cool factor. In those small towns, they have it. So Megan did share some of the cool factors that are out there for State College, Pennsylvania. You can live downtown or 15 minutes away on an acre farm. You don't have to deal with that big city traffic. Commutes can be short. Heck, the commute might be long because you're behind a tractor. Wouldn't that be a nice problem to have? And you can also get home on your lunch break. Their basketball arena, it brings big name concerts like Elton John's been there, or even Bruce Springsteen. Or they have college sports, theater, mountains, skiing, hiking, mountain biking. You can do it all.
Yes, cleared work happening in small towns. I think that this is a very unique challenge that many of our guests have shared, but they've all had to bring sort of their personal stories to this. And, not everyone has the cool offerings of State College in Pennsylvania, where Bruce Springsteen has been. But I remember talking to Kate Copley over at Odyssey Systems Consulting Group because she has to recruit from Ohio. It's actually a really great place to live, but she really has to bring her authentic self to recruiting and really share why she likes working there. So, understanding that you as a recruiter are also there as a person and being able to share why you like working someplace or why you like living someplace. And when you're recruiting for some of these very unique, diverse locations, bringing your whole self to the recruiting game is what's going to make you successful.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to be a little personal here for a second. But when you think of, I'm from Louisiana. And when I tell people, oh, hey, we're interested in careers here in Louisiana, the first thing they ask me are like, do I have a pet alligator? And do I get to take a Piro? And y'all eat bugs? And all of those questions. But it's being able to, again, that authentic piece and be able to share, no, I was born here. And no, I've never actually touched an alligator other than at a farm. And no, we're not all married to our cousins. You can explain all those things and have that authentic conversation with them. There are Air Force bases. Barksdale Air Force Base is just right here in our backyard, and being able to share that there's a lot of diversity. So not getting so locked into, hey, it's not San Diego, or hey, it's not, New York City. There's some greatness that exists everywhere. All 50 states have something wonderful to share. So just be open-minded about it. But now we know it's a challenge. Not everybody's going to have that open mind. So sometimes you gotta kind of go from it from different angles. So John McCracken over at Battelle was talking about, how do you find these highly skilled and educated scientists and engineers with these security clearances that want to come to Columbus, Ohio? It can be challenging. So he approached it from several different angles. So it's about that long-term talent cultivation. It's about those internship programs, again, kind of growing talent so that they can join that organization, having that long-term sustainable pipeline. So not just looking at them right now, I need it right now, but kind of building that future pipeline, going into the universities, looking for that talent. Outsourcing. They can use RPO type of support to get that needle in that haystack type of approach out there. Competitive compensation. This is one of my favorite angles because it's something that you can leverage quite often. It's reviewing the compensation and benefit packages regularly, annually, and sometimes multiple times throughout the year to make sure that you're looking at it from micro levels, different business lines, to make sure that it's really aligned with the market and that you're doing everything possible to retain talent. Last thing you want to do is leave that stone unturned when you could have just turned it over, and heck, you could have had 12 people that you just left off the table there. So I know location, location, location. It matters to everybody. And we've talked a lot today about how this plays such an important part in recruiting. So just to kind of bring it all back together, it's about understanding those relocation benefits. Great start. Making sure you win that talent in unconventional locations by starting with a great package. Maybe they're willing and want to, and they just needed that financial support and encouragement to make that move. Get out there and you can smell it too in some small towns, but sell that small town lifestyle. There's so much goodness out there. So it's making sure that you have that authentic voice in talking about the community in which you're representing. Know what that particular location has in it for the candidate. Maybe throw out there some of the festivals. Hey, we have a strawberry festival. And making sure that your compensation is competitive. Review it again, get out that
Fine tooth comb.
That one. See, clearly I don't brush my hair to make sure that your compensation packages really do matter.
Yeah, well, with these headsets, it's really hard to brush our hair.
Yeah.
So, recruiting for diverse locations can be really tough. But one thing that I loved about talking with all of our guests over the last 2.5 years, and I'm really getting the behind the scenes feel as to what inspires us, is, Meg Duba Pexa. She really, really honed it down for me. She said, persistence is the tool that she has used to overcome everything. She says you really have to have the tenacity like no other. Recruiting is the only job, the only sales job that she knows of where your product has an opinion and has an ability to lie or your ability to say no or an ability to people please. So you have to be able to look past that and love the win so much that when you have a 90% failure rate, it is not going to deter you from continuing on. She has just been so inspirational in that she's like, yeah, it is really hard getting people to Albuquerque and it is really hard to get those scientists there. But when I have that 1% win, hey, that's really great. And it was a win today to have you join us. Thanks so much for listening. Share, review, rate this episode, and we look forward to sharing with you more of our challenges that we've heard from our guests and their solutions.